day. And sometimes I'm not sure. Sometimes I don't know. I'm like, are they going to give me another day? I don't know if I'm convinced. Oh, it's saying I'm live, but you know me, until I see it, it doesn't matter. I have to see it. And until I see the line thing. Oh, now I've seen it. Now I've seen it. It's official now, folks. It's official. And I know there's a lag. Some of you are going to be like, Ron, you've been live. I'm like, yeah, but I don't have an EP. It's just me. I'm a one-man ship. And if I don't see it, it's not legit. But I've seen it. So it's official. What's up, everybody? Good afternoon to all my East Coasters. Good afternoon. Good evening, if it's evening where you're at. How's the future? If you're in the future, my friends in Australia, how's it going? Did you fix climate change yet? We're counting on you to do it. You're in the future. You're in Australia. Come on. Help us out. One day, I want everyone from Australia to be like, Ron, we fixed it. Everything's fine. We are all surfing in Bondi right now because we fixed it. Come over and tour again. And I'll be like, I'll be right there. And thanks for taking care of that. And to all my fellow West Coasters, good morning. You guys know this is my morning show. You might be thinking, Ron, it's like 11 a.m., but I'm a comedian. This is my morning show. Good to see everybody. So shout out to everyone who makes this show possible. First, our friends over at ZT.com, ZHITEA.com. Their tea kind of rules, and you can get their tea wholesale now because of the pandemic. Makes an amazing gift. I've actually had a couple gift packages put together for friends and family of mine. They supply the tea to Get Your News On with Ron. You guys know that the Monk's Blend and the Raspberry Pecan are two of my personal favorites. And we might be getting a Placone's Punch tea. I'm working on that name because Placone's Punch sounds like it's punch, which it's not punch, it's tea. But the whole punch thing means it's going to be highly caffeinated because that's how I roll. So anyway, we're tweaking that, but there might be a tea for me. We'll see. And of course, you guys will be the first to know when that's available. Our friends over at triageoil.com, TRIAGE oil.com. Trendy Nay makes topical pain oil that you put on your body, and it works wonders. I've been using it on my neck. I use it all the time. It's done more for my neck than anything has ever done. You guys know I was in a bad car accident in 2013. My neck has never been the same. I probably never will be. But this pain oil has done more for it than anything else ever has. Check them out. And Trendy Nay also educates the public on cannabis issues with his show, triageoil.com, TRIAGE oil.com. All right, without further ado, my guest today. So, whenever you hear me talk about Hollywood and Graham talk about Hollywood or Jimmy talk about Hollywood or Dave Anthony, a lot of times we're talking about it in the neg, and we kind of focus on all the bullshit that goes on in Hollywood. And there's a lot of that, but you know what? In this industry, there's also some good going on too. And my guest today is a comedian who also runs a management company. Now, full disclaimer for transparency's sake, I am on that. I'm on the roster of that management company. So, full disclaimer for transparency's sake, I am part of this guy's company. But he's also a comedian who is an activist who's been making TikTok videos of filming the police. He's been filming the police around LA, putting it on TikTok. And he also organized his own guerrilla-style protest at the mayor's house. And we're going to talk to him about it. Please welcome to the show, Dante Rasculi. Dante, what's up, buddy?
Hi, buddy. I'm good. So, yes, first of all, I'm glad you gave the full disclaimer. But while we're on that note, we couldn't be more happy to have you with our company. We love your talent and everything about you and your comedy. And thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it very much. So let's get right into what you're doing. I didn't tell everyone exactly what it is because I think it's really funny and I want you to tell them. So what are you doing at the mayor's house?
Okay, so here's the backstory. I've been filming, like you said, the police for a very long time. Most of them here know me and they're very annoyed by me. So what happened was I also own another company called Security for Civil Rights. And what we do is we will go around to different areas. Sorry, I'm in my yard. We'll go around to different areas where people are marching or whatever and just make sure that they're safe. We'll bring mace, we'll bring tasers, whatever. If let's say some anti-BLMers came at them, we will spray them. Or if the police come, maybe we'll stand in the front and say, you can't touch them, here's the law. So anyway, on Sunday, there were BLM protesters in front of the mayor's house, and the police said, you cannot use bullhorns in front of the mayor's house, which is a law. I think it's it's like a mandate or something. It's 5643 if anyone is a nerd and wants to look it up. So it's 5643. You can't use bullhorns to protest in front of the mayor's house. So what they did was they sent in police with riot gear, where there were 60 BLM protesters of every color that were being peaceful. I like to make that very clear, because in most people's minds throughout the rest of the country, they think BLM protesters are looters. There's a giant difference between looting, rioting, and protesting. I saw looters and rioters near my neighborhood. They were people of all colors. I rarely saw black people, honestly, looting or rioting. The marches and protests are always peaceful until the police come. So what happened was they beat up these protesters on Sunday morning. So on Sunday, I read every law I could about bullhorns in Los Angeles. And I thought to myself, I'm going to go back to the mayor's house with a bullhorn and legally sing him Christmas music from 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. every day. So I do. And I'm out there with my bullhorn and I'm like, jingle bells. I don't even know half the words. So I'm just like, do, 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 ba-do. My voice is all scratchy. This isn't even how I talk.
So why is it that singing Christmas songs are okay? Like, are you considered like a caroler? Is that how that works?
Yeah. Well, it couldn't be better timing. It's December. If I started singing these in the summer, they would say it's not Christmas. And I'd be like, well, I'm going to put on a concert. They like, you have a concert license. But to be a caroler, anyone can be a caroler between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. because of the noise laws. So I figured it out. That's it. People just have to arm themselves with their rights. Everything is right here. People ask me, they're like, hey, is this legal? I'm like, look it up. I don't know. I'm just going to look it up for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say at this point, as far as mayors that are in the spotlight, because I know, of course, neither one of us can account for every single mayor in this country, but as far as mayors that are in the national spotlight, is it fair to say Eric Garcetti's the worst one? Do you think that's
for
fair?
Sure. I can tell you a million reasons why and back it up. And I even ran for mayor in 2001, and it was pretty well known at the time. But I didn't do it because I wanted to become the mayor. I did it because at the time I was pretty well known as a comic, and I knew I'd get on television a lot. And so there were things like the Hollywood Highland had been half built for like 10 years. There was no carpool lane on the 405 where the 101 and that meets. And so I ran on those things and a few other things. Like we had prostitution everywhere. And so I came up with an idea of like, let's do loitering law where you can't be in the same place too long. And that got people off the street, blah, blah, blah. But because I was on television all the time, the new mayor implemented everything. I got everything I asked for. So yes, is he the worst mayor? I'll tell you why. Since he has been mayor, our city has improved in some ways, and it's also not improved, and you can back me up. There's something I call the green fence. If you drive around Hollywood, go down any block, you're going to see at least one green fence around a property. This green fence is where they take up old homes before they hit the 100-year mark, and they want to destroy it so that they can build some giant tall thing that sells lots more money. So what the mayor kind of did is he set it up to where when he came into place, I went, why are the homeless coming back into town? They were always in Skid Row. And then all of a sudden the property values went down, and then everyone was buying up homes, and then there's green fences around everything. And I was like, it's a trick. I get it. He's making property values go down. His friends are going to buy up all these properties, but no one's coming here, by the way. Even before COVID, no one was coming here. His sale pitch was probably, hey, in 2028 or whatever it is, we're getting the Olympics. So all these people are like, hey, let's buy up all this property. The mayor's our buddy. But I think what he's going to do to all of them is he's going to keep the homeless people there. No one's moving to LA. It's too expensive. I mean, even the places that are old have rent signs. There's like new places that no one's moved in. So my point is, when these guys realize that no one's moving into their buildings, the mayor and his buddies will come back and say, hey, man, I'm really sorry. We really thought that was, let me buy it up from you at like half price.
Yeah. Well, and that's what they're doing.
And then he'll get rid of the homeless people, and then the value will go back up.
Well, and the thing is, it's like stuff like that created the housing crisis in the first place. You know, the homeless population has expanded because people have been forced out of housing. There is no affordable housing, so they have nowhere to go. So it's basically a big circle, and it's a big scam, like what you just described. And it's all about just just making a playground out of Los Angeles at the sacrifice of all the
Right.
people who made it great.
Right. They forget that they're also going, all these rich people are moving here. They also forget that they have to have people working here, serving them at restaurants, and they can't live here. You know, they can't afford to live here. I'm not kidding. I live in Hollywood, and I'll tell you what's sad is I will walk around my block at night with my wife, and you see so many people sitting in their cars watching television on their phone, and you go, oh, they lived right there. That's their home. They go to the gym and shower and then put on their waitress or waiter uniform and go to work. But they live in a
They
car.
can't even do that now. They can't even go to the gym now, can they?
Right. I don't think they can. So
Yeah.
where are they showering? Who knows? Maybe not at all. Who knows? I mean, I actually see people that look pretty normal that will be in like a parking lot and find some water thing and they're like doing this. It's crazy. But let's go back to what else makes the mayor bad. Under him and our former DA, we just got rid of her, and I think a lot of that was my benefit.
I'm
Jackie
glad to see her go. A lot of us are glad to see her go.
Of course, I think I gave 1% to getting rid of her, but Jackie Lacey was a very deadly DA. There were over 600 murders during her reign of human beings by the police, and not one went to trial. Not one. She didn't do anything. Not once out of 600. Everything was justified 600 times. That's very odd.
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah,
to say the least.
Yeah, well, and the the new guy has some pretty good ideas. We'll see, how all these get implemented, but he has some, pretty decent ideas on how to start turning the tide here.
Yeah, I really hope so. I can't even pronounce his name yet.
Yeah, I can't either, but
it sounds like a French Canadian name or something. It's a cool name. I just can't say it.
Totally. And but the cash bail thing, I mean, there's definitely some good kind of seeds being laid here, but there's going to be some resistance from the powers that be. So we'll see what happens here.
But there's other good news in my district. There's mine's a pretty important district. It's District 4. It's Hollywood and part of the Valley, and we just got Nithya Raman.
Yes.
And she's great, and I already like her because she already said that she is against what the police did on Sunday out in front of the mayor's house. And David Rue, who was our guy for the past 4 years, never spoke up about it, never took a meeting with me. His office is literally 5 or 6 blocks from my home, and I called every day to try to make meetings, and they never took one with me.
People don't realize, and I talk about this on my show all the time, like just the importance and significance of acting locally, because it's like, and I've always said, I'm like, look, when you look at what Shama Zawant's been able to accomplish up in Seattle, and you think if every city council had a member like her, had a politician like her, this country would look different really quick in a good way. And now it's like, we have Nithya Raman. So, I mean, that tide is shifting, and that's a good thing. That was one of the things that was uplifting about the election. There were a couple propositions that didn't quite go the way I would have liked them to. So there was some bad stuff too. But Nithya Raman's victory was one of the good things. Let's talk about you for a little bit. So what made you decide to start using your TikTok the way you did? Kind of unpack that for people, like explain what you do. And how did that start catching on?
Okay, so truth is, I had just started TikTok. I have other platforms, obviously, but yeah, I started using TikTok, and I was just making stupid videos with like my daughter or whatever, however you do it. And I've been an activist my whole life. I just, I don't put it out there, but anyone who's known me long enough knows that, like when I was in college, I would do sit-ins and not eat for a while because we were trying to free Nelson Mandela, and then I've always been a big LGBTQ supporter and black rights and whatever, it doesn't matter. I lost the question.
So TikTok. You
TikTok. Yeah. So here's how it happened. I'll be honest. So here's how TikTok honestly happened. I was sitting in this yard right here one day. I think my wife and I were about to film something with an ex-client of mine. It was pretty famous. And all of a sudden I heard a bunch of sirens and a helicopter right outside my door. So I ran out my gate, and there are 7 police cars and 2 helicopters. And this is, I would say, about day 7 of the protests. It's June 3rd, I believe. And there's some rioting and protests, but not that much. Things have really died down in my area, even though I'm in Hollywood. So I go out there and I see a young man who's about 17 with his hands above his head, and he's on his knees, and there's cops with a million guns drawn. And then all of a sudden more people get out, and it's a very nice like SUV, nice one. All of a sudden a grandpa gets out. He's like 80, white hair, can barely walk, and then 2 more grandkids in their 20s probably get out. They all get out. They all have to get on their knees. And finally I realized they pulled them over for being black. And I said to the police, I was like, hey, why'd you pull them over? And they're like, we don't have to tell you. I'm like, well, you need to tell someone, because I don't think you have a reason. And so because I started screaming, all my neighbors started coming out. Next thing you know, there's about 40 of us out there. And I'm just screaming at these police officers for like an hour, saying, let them go. He's an old man. If this was a white man and his grandkids, they wouldn't even have guns drawn, just getting on them for an hour. And
it's okay if you called them assholes, by the way. On this show,
I can say bad words.
Oh, you can say whatever you want on this show, yeah.
Oh, thank goodness. So anyway, I go out there and I scream at the police on video for over an hour. And when I come back, things changed in my life very quickly. First of all, I post the long version of the video on my Instagram, and it goes viral instantly. I shortened down a 1-minute thing and put it on my TikTok. Same thing happens. But before they go viral, a police officer / comedian who I've known for about 20 years called me up about 10 minutes after I posted it and said, and I hadn't spoken to him in at least 8 years. This was the scary part. Calls me up and goes, hey, Dante, do you still live at that house right at the corner of blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah? And I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, man, I love your house with all the beautiful signs, because I put signs out saying like Hollywood this way, sort of like those Korean War signs. It's a Hollywood landmark.
Yeah.
But he goes, yeah, man, I always point out your house to all my cop buddies all the time. All the time. Yeah, that's how he starts the conversation. And then he goes, hey, would you mind taking that video down? I haven't spoken to him in 8 years. That's called intimidation.
God, yeah, that's exactly what that is.
So I told him no, and I kept it up, and it now has millions and millions of views on every platform. And that's kind of what sparked me to just say, hey, I'll go film the police a few more times and see if this is a rare incident. And I can tell you that out of hundreds and hundreds of hours that I only have about 2 hours of police doing the right thing.
What were they doing when they were doing the right thing?
They had their masks on. They were pulling over people for the right reasons.
So like the bare minimum. They were doing like
they were doing their job. Those guys were doing their job. Everybody else wasn't. I have video from the other night that I haven't even put out yet, where 2 nights ago, when the governor said we are all in lockdown, right, because of COVID, and the mayor has put out that alert that went out. Anyway, I see police near my house, so I pull over there. These assholes are parked blocking the whole street, right? Finally, they decide they'll pull up on the curb. Now they're parked on the sidewalk. Right in front of the sidewalk is actual legal parking. They could have parked there. They decided they're going to take up the sidewalk. Then I realize all 4 of them don't have masks on, and they're blocking a sidewalk with their bodies and a car. So I decide I'm going to put my phone right here and walk up to them and say, oh, excuse me, I'd like to get by, but all of you are not wearing masks. And they're like, oh, hi, Dante. And I was like, please stop calling me by name, man. That's intimidation. He's like, it's your name, though. And I'm like, yeah, but you're letting everyone know that you know who I am. I get it. And I was like, dude, put a mask on, please. And he's like, yeah, we will. None of them did. None of them. I'm like, guys, I want to walk past you on this sidewalk. They're like, well, we're leaving. So they walked away without masks. But that's the kind of LAPD gang shit I deal with every night. The police were remember I had a video one time where I was just standing. They were literally halfway down a block, and I decided to stand on the sidewalk like this, just like holding my phone up, filming them. All of a sudden, this guy walks up, comes right up to me. He's like, "What are you doing, sir?" I was like, "Where's your mask?" And he's like, "Oh." And then he just walked back. But I was like, you can't ask someone why they're filming. I was like, you just walk away, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think people like me because I know the law. I'm not afraid to yell at the police. You know, this dude came up to me 2 days ago when I was doing the bullhorn. And he goes, "Sir, you can't use a bullhorn in front of the mayor's house." I'm like, "Yes, I can." He's like, "No, sir, you can't." And I was like, "I can." He's like, "You can't." I was like, "Sir, I'm singing the mayor Christmas carols, please." And he's like, "Okay, hold on. I'll call my supervisor." And so I was singing Christmas carols, if you watch the video. And I was like, "You can't get me for laws that aren't real." And then the guys, you see them walking back to their car in the video and driving off.
Nice. Well, thanks for doing what you're doing, man. And let everyone know where they can find out more about you and how they can follow you.
Okay, if you want to follow my like activism and stuff, it's Dante the Comic on all social media. You can also check out my stand-up there as well. But I'm more interested in promoting the people that are like Ron, people that I manage and my company, and that's Golden Artists Entertainment. We have so many great comedians for hire. We have so many great actors and writers and directors and so on, and lots of influencers and celebrities. Check out goldenartistsentertainment.com and hire these great comedians at your clubs and colleges and giant venues.
Dante, thanks for chatting it up, man, and doing what you do. I really appreciate it. It means a lot, and it's also nice to to show the audience that there's some folks in the industry doing some really great things too.
Well, now I've got to get back to work. It's like, even though I had my phone out there and would take like half-hour breaks every half hour to do work, I still have like so much to catch up on. So I'm gonna go do that right now, buddy.
All right, man. Peace. Be well.
Peace. Be well.
There you go. Pretty cool stuff. Check him out, Dante the Comic. Follow him on all social media. His TikTok is very very eye-opening. I follow him on TikTok, and yeah, Golden Artist Entertainment. That is a management company and a production company here in Los Angeles. And of course, full disclaimer, I am on that roster as well. Folks, I have some kind of shitty news. I don't know what's going on with the chat. It's saying that the chat is a thing, but I see absolutely nothing. Either something's wrong on my end. I'm checking to see. Sometimes my editor, Joe, texts me when something is goofy is happening, and he doesn't think I know. So if there is a chat going on, I can't see it. I don't know what's going on. If the chat is down, I apologize, and I don't know why that is. If the chat is not down, for some reason, I can't see it. So I'll maneuver this. But I got a couple other stories I wanted to go through today. So I'll go through those first. I always get to the chat at the end anyway, so we'll see what's going on then. But I cannot see the chat for some reason. Let me refresh this real quick and see if this helps before we continue. Because I like checking the chat. I like hearing what you guys are saying. It's a part of the show. And for some reason, I was checking. Okay, now it might have. Oh, there we go. Okay, it's all right. Now it's here. Okay. All right. Okay, it looks like we're good. All right. Now I can see the chat. It's the most random thing. I just couldn't see the freaking chat. I couldn't see it. All right, so we're good now. All right, that makes me feel better. Just needed to refresh. All right, I see you all. I see that it is good. Glad we did that. And by the way, if you are so able, please do super chat it up so I can read your comments later. And again, special thanks to Dante for coming on today. Dante the Comic, and that management company is goldenartistentertainment.com. Full disclaimer, I am part of that roster as well. But yeah, whatever I talk about Hollywood, usually we're talking about the bullshit that goes on in Hollywood and the neoliberalism that goes on in Hollywood. And yes, there is a lot of that. There certainly is. But, there's some folks in the industry doing some good things too, where activism is important. The optimist in me is saying that things are going more in that direction and less in the other one. That's what I hope for. But anyway, we got a couple other stories to go through today, and unfortunately, none of them are uplifting. We went backwards. You know, sometimes it's like you end on a moment of like kind of hope. And you know, our moment of hope was talking to someone who is doing activism, who is this is something the way Dante describes it is he'll say, "I'm using my white privilege for good," where it's like he will film the cops, he will go up to them, he will call them, he will approach them. And it's really cool what he's doing. It's very, very, very cool what he's doing. So we had him on earlier so he can go back to doing what he's doing at the mayor's house. So now we just got to go to the stories of the day. So we're going backwards. You had your uplifting moment first, and now it's like, here's some shitty news. But and speaking of some bad news, here is some of it. You guys know that we've been following what's going on with the FCC. And when we had Evan Greer from Fight for the Future, when we had her on, she talked about how Nathan Symington is the Trump appointee that they were trying to just ram through on the FCC before Trump's out of office. Well, bad news, folks. They succeeded. GOP senators rammed through last-minute Trump nominee for FCC. Here's some from the article here. The Senate voted to confirm President Donald Trump's nominee, Nathan Symington, to the FCC Tuesday, ensuring the agency will be split down party lines at the start of Joe Biden's administration. The vote gained significance after Republican Chairman Ajit Pai announced he would step down from the agency the day of Joe Biden's inauguration, which would have left the FCC with one Republican and two Democrat commissioners. So here's what would have happened. Here's why this was an issue for Mitch McConnell. So there was another Trump appointee that Trump did not reappoint. And the reason he did not appoint this appointee, who was a Republican, was because even though this was a Republican appointee, they were like, hey, this whole idea of Trump's executive order gutting to Section 230, it's insane. It's a blatant violation of free speech. It will lead to more censorship. It is a horrible idea. I can't support it. So Trump was like, well, you're out then. And he wouldn't reappoint this guy. So at first, whatever, who cares? And then Trump all of a sudden started talking about this Symington guy, who is grossly unqualified to be at the FCC. His only qualification is he's a Trump lackey who just kind of will go along with whatever Trump says. And that's why Trump wanted to nominate him. So no one really paid much mind to this until Mitch McConnell realized, oh, wait a second. Now that this other Republican's gone, when Ajit Pai steps down, which it's tradition that when a president leaves, the appointee from that president steps down so that the incoming president will appoint someone. When Ajit Pai steps down, that means there's going to be 2-on-1 as far as Democrat FCC appointees and Republican FCC appointees. It'll be 2 against 1. So Mitch McConnell was like, well, wait a second. If we shove Nathan Symington through, even though he's grossly unqualified, he'll at least be another Republican vote. So this way, the FCC will be deadlocked and they won't be able to do anything until Joe Biden appoints a new FCC head. And here's more bad news here, folks. We're not guaranteed that Joe Biden is going to appoint a pro-FCC, or excuse me, well, obviously the pro-FCC. That's a misspeak. A pro-net neutrality FCC head. We're not guaranteed that. So, here's another loss. Here's another loss. This is a big loss at the FCC. The fact that Symington got through. And Mitch McConnell knew what he was doing here. Mitch McConnell knew exactly what he was doing here. So our fight for net neutrality and our fight for digital rights in general continues at the state and local levels. Because what can we still do? Well, we can still push for statewide net neutrality bills, which we have a strong net neutrality bill here in California. It's one of the reasons we haven't seen a lot of the effects of a post-net neutrality world, because we're holding the front lines in different states. Because if California has a strong FCC or a strong net neutrality bill and New York has a strong net neutrality bill, well, guess what? They're going to have a hard time unrolling anti-net neutrality packages to customers because it's not legal in 2 very, very big states with a lot of people in them. So that's a way to fight back. Another way to fight back is to pressure the Save the Internet bill. Look, if you recall, there was a big campaign for net neutrality, the Fight for the Future organized, that I was a collaborator on, where we showed up to Mitch McConnell's office demanding that they bring a vote to the Save the Internet bill. Now, the Save the Internet bill is 3 pages, or maybe it was 4. It was 3 or 4 pages. I don't know. This was a couple of years ago. But point is, it's very short. And basically, it just says, hey, you know, those net neutrality laws we had, those were good laws. We're going to go back to it. It's basically all it says. It's very simple legislation in a world where legislation is always intentionally complicated as hell. And it says, we're bringing back those net neutrality laws. They were damn good laws. So we pressured Mitch McConnell to bring it to a vote. Of course, he didn't do it, but we did have, we did raise a lot of momentum around net neutrality. We brought the net neutrality story back into the spotlight, and we got a lot of politicians, even some Republicans, on board with the cause. At least they told us they were. So that's a victory. And now it's time to bring that legislation back, because now, you know, you're going to have a different president, Joe Biden. Now, Joe Biden has a bad record on net neutrality. He's one of the few Democrats, even corporate Democrats, who is vocally against net neutrality. And he started his campaign with a bunch of Comcast executives. So Joe Biden is no friend to digital rights. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that he is. However, during the Biden-Bernie task force, they did promise that he evolved on net neutrality, that he is pro-net neutrality now. They also promised that he would appoint a pro-net neutrality FCC head. I'm not telling you this because I'm saying that's good enough for me. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm telling you this to just be thorough in the storytelling and to remind everybody that it's up to us to put the pressure on to make sure he keeps this promise. It's up to us that he behaves like a pro-net neutrality president. It's up to us to make sure he appoints a pro-net neutrality head to the FCC. And we're going to have to be very vigilant on top of this. Come January, we're going to have to be very vigilant to make sure a pro-net neutrality head gets appointed to the FCC. It won't be a great head. He's not going to appoint a great person. Tom Wheeler was not a great person. But Tom Wheeler did vote the right way for net neutrality. Why? Because he had to. Because all of us were watching. So we got to do that same thing again. Tom Wheeler was a cable lobbyist. The guy who voted net neutrality in the first place. He was a cable lobbyist. He didn't want to do it, but he had to, because he was an Obama appointee. Obama gave lip service to net neutrality. Obama told him to at the 11th hour because all of us pressured them into doing so, and the right thing happened. But it would not have happened without our pressure. Tom Wheeler was a cable lobbyist. Obama brought Ajit Pai into the fold in the first place. He didn't appoint him head. Trump did that, but Obama brought him in the first place. So that's what's at stake here. And now the FCC is going to be in a deadlock until a new head comes in, and we got to do everything we can to make sure that is a pro-net neutrality FCC head. So that's happening, folks. And here's something else that's happening today. Or this happened yesterday. And this is something. We're going to watch this video. And this is quite disturbing. Ready for this? So check this out. Wait, here we go. Here's the tweet I want. This is Rebecca Jones. Here's what Rebecca Jones has to say. There will be no update today. At 8:30 a.m. this morning, state police came into my house and took all my hardware and tech. They were serving a warrant on my computer after DOH filed a complaint. They pointed a gun in my face. They pointed guns at my kids. Now, who is Rebecca Jones? You may have heard about this already, but Rebecca Jones was a woman who was instructed to manipulate some of the data related to COVID-19. She was instructed to manipulate some of the data to make it seem like it was not as severe as it was. She refused to do that. And she eventually left her job, and she blew the whistle on all this. Since then, there was allegedly a hack that occurred. And Governor DeSantis in Florida is claiming that it was her. We've seen no evidence to indicate that it was her, and she's claiming it was not her because she didn't even have access to the thing she would have needed to have access to for months now because she left her job. She doesn't have her job anymore. So she doesn't have all this insider access that she would have needed to do this hack anyway. That's what she's saying. And we're going to watch this video. And what's interesting here is you have to ask yourself the question, even if she did do this hack and spread this information for the public good, is this in any way a warranted response? Even if she did, which I don't, and just to be clear here, I don't think she did. I don't think she did at all. I think it's a red herring that they're using to brutalize this woman. I think this is just Governor DeSantis behaving like an authoritarian dictator. That's what I think this is. Because let's watch what they do to this woman. Here we go. So there's the police at her house.
Come outside. Outside.
Who else is in the house, man?
My 2 children and my husband.
Where's your husband at?
Calm down. Calm down.
So notice this. All right, here, wait. I want to pause it. So notice they stuck a gun in her face. They entered her house. They asked her who else is in the house. She says, my children. She put her hands up. She's completely cooperating. And they're yelling at her to calm down. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that like gaslighting 101? She put her hands up, was totally cooperative, told them who's in the house. They're telling her to calm down. Dude, she's cooperating with you. She's doing everything you're telling her to do. Why are you telling her to calm down? You're the one waving a freaking gun around. What are you worried? Are you worried some data is going to attack you? Are you worried, oh man, she's armed with some dangerous data. The data is going to attack us. It might fill our brains with information that'll make us think for ourselves for the first time in our fucking lives. So let's watch what they do. Let's keep watching this. And I know it's hard to watch. This is fucking hard to watch. This is the United States. This is the land of the free, quote unquote. Let's watch it.
Calm them all down.
Mr. Jones, come down the stairs.
She told them her kids are home. They have guns drawn. She said her kids are upstairs. They draw the guns for the kids. Land of the free. This is the United States. This is our country. This is what we're told is a free society. This is what we're told values freedom of speech and freedom of expression. This is the country where we're told that dissidence is actually the highest form of patriotism. And this woman who blew the whistle for the benefit of her fellow man, this is how she's treated by the governor.
Stairs, now.
Police, come down now.
Guns drawn for the
Bring
kids.
your
Down the
children.
stairs.
I noticed later they mentioned they have a search warrant. After they're in, going through the house with guns drawn, they mentioned search warrant. That's great.
Children!
Hang on, let me clear behind
He
you.
just pointed a gun at my children!
Search warrant.
Those are psychopaths. Those are brain-dead psychopaths pointing guns at children, raiding this woman's home. Even if she is guilty of what they're accusing her of, which I don't think she is, but even if she is, that is a political offense. If you're spreading, or it's supposed to be, if you're spreading information for the public good, even if you hacked it, which is illegal, that is a political offense. This is a warranted response to a political offense? Bursting into someone's home with guns drawn? This is psychotic. This is authoritarianism. This is a blatant assault against the First Amendment. This is a blatant assault against freedom of expression, against the right to information. And this is a warning sign from the powers that be. That's what this is. So let's read our thread. They took my phone and the computer I use every day to post the case numbers in Florida and school cases for the entire country. They took evidence of corruption at the state level. They claimed it was about a security breach. This was DeSantis, it's the governor. He sent the Gestapo. This is what happens to scientists who do their job honestly. This is what happens to people who speak truth to power. I tell them my husband and my 2 children are upstairs, and then one of them draws his gun on my children. This is DeSantis' Florida. And this is more than DeSantis' Florida, folks. This is the United States. This is the United States. If DeSantis thought that, going back to our Twitter thread here, if DeSantis thought pointing a gun in my face was a good way to get me to shut up, he's about to learn just how wrong he was. I'll have a new computer tomorrow. And then I'm going to get back to work. If you want help, my website is still up. And floridacovidaction.com is our website. Now, I will say this, and I will tip my hat where it's due. I expected the corporate media to have a complete blackout on this. I really did. So I'll give a little credit where it's due, just to be fair here, and you know, maybe to dose a little bit of hope here, a little bit of uplifting news here. Here's she tweets, I'll be joining Chris Cuomo on Cuomo Primetime to talk about what happened, and that did in fact happen. She went on here. Let me pull that up. She did go on Chris Cuomo's show, and he gave her some airtime. So you know, you guys know me. I give credit where it's due, and I'll be fair here. I was expecting a complete media blackout from the corporate media. There was a little bit of coverage. It's sad that the bar is that low, that it's like, well, I was expecting a complete blackout. They did their jobs for a change. It's sad that the bar is that low, but that's what happens when you have a media that is run by corporations. That's what happens, folks. It becomes authoritarian, and it already has. And here's the clip that went viral from it. Rebecca Jones' house was raided by Florida State Police today, and she's on Cuomo Primetime to tell Ron DeSantis she's not scared of him. Here's the clip.
DeSantis needs to worry less about what I'm writing about and more about the people who are sick and dying in his state. And doing this to me will not stop me from reporting the data.
There you go. Kudos to her. Kudos to her for being a truth teller. Kudos to her for sticking up what was right, even though it cost her job. And here's another piece of good news related to all this. Some people are acting out too. Ron Filipkowski, a lifelong GOP member, by the way, this guy's a Republican. He's a GOP lawyer. He was appointed by Governor DeSantis to the 12th Circuit Judicial Nominating Commission, resigned in protest. He resigned in protest over how DeSantis blocked public access to truthful data after the raid of COVID-19 data analyst Rebecca Jones's home. So he's resigning in protest over this. And if you follow Rebecca Jones on Twitter, which her Twitter account is just Rebecca Jones, REBEKAH Jones, JONES, you can find out more information about her and everything that's going on around her. I know there is a GoFundMe to support her efforts. And stuff like this is just chilling, folks, where you see authoritarianism, blatant, blunt and brutal authoritarianism towards journalists. Well, not a journalist in this case, just a whistleblower. I mean, well, I guess you could call her a journalist too. I think that's fair. But somebody who is spreading truthful information out there and is blowing the whistle when it's necessary to tell the public what they need to know. This is how she's being treated. And, you know, we think that freedom of the press is something that we just kind of have in droves here. But it's not. In fact, when you look at a lot of the press freedom indexes that are out there, the real ones, not the bullshit ones where they have people like Adam Schiff on the board, but real press freedom indexes, the United States barely ranks in the top 50. 5-0. They are barely in the top 50. And we have all this propaganda about, oh, state-run media. If we have state-run media, oh my God. You know what's worse than state-run media? And I'm not going to sit here and say the BBC doesn't have its problems. It does. I'm not going to sit here and say the CBC doesn't have its problems. It does. Absolutely they do. And that's a whole different story for a whole different day. But you know what? You know what is infinitely worse than any state-run media system? Way worse, what we have. A corporate-controlled media. That is infinitely worse 100% of the time. So, you know, Our media structure is absolutely abhorrent. It is disgusting. It is the opposite of the idea of democracy. And it should be illegal. And in a lot of other countries, it would be, by the way. You know, one of the countries that has one of the great press freedom rankings out there, one of the best ones, Norway. Our media wouldn't be legal in Norway. Because in Norway, they have a board that oversees this stuff, that oversees press freedom. And they monitor what media outlets are doing. And media outlets have to be transparent about who funds them. And they monitor what kind of advertising is permitted on news and information. And they make sure that journalists are treated right and treated fairly and are free to do their jobs without fear of persecution. They have a board of elected people that consist of media makers and journalists and academics and lawyers who try to oversee that the media is as free as it can possibly be, both for the consumers, meaning when you see something, you know who funds these people, who advertises with them. And the stuff that our corporate media does, where every third commercial is for oil and gas and weapons manufacturers, not because they're trying to get the word out, but because they're buying favorable coverage, that's what they're doing. When you see a commercial for a defense contractor on MSNBC or CNN or Fox News, they're not marketing. They're buying favorable coverage. They're buying silence about the war machine. That's what they're doing. And it is allowed in the United States. It shouldn't be legal. It should be illegal. When you say our media shouldn't be legal, that's not an embellishment. That's accurate. Our media structure there should be laws prohibiting what CNN and MSNBC and Fox News do. It should be against the law because it's a basic conflict of interest. And by the way, it has nothing to do with freedom of speech. If you're thinking, well, doesn't that go against freedom of speech? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. What it has to do with is the right to information and the right to and having a news infrastructure that actually serves people and allows them to make informed decisions. When you have a media structure that is tainted to the nth degree because it just bows down to its advertisers, which are very powerful entities buying coverage, and these are the people who are destroying the planet, who are pursuing endless war, that's not news and information. That's propaganda. That's straight up propaganda. So, and when you have a structure like that, that allows stuff like this to happen. And we've had a very complicit society when it comes to Edward Snowden. We've had a very complicit society when it comes to Julian Assange. We've had a very complicit society when it comes to Chelsea Manning. And I know there's a lot of content creators and activists out there who are refusing to let that story die. And, my heart goes out to all of them. And I am so thankful for what all of them are doing. And I'm proud and honored to be part of it and hope to continue to be. But this is what happens. So I am glad there are some bright spots here. The fact that she is getting some coverage, that Rebecca Jones is getting some coverage, even in the corporate media, and people are spreading this around, this information, which I guess maybe in these COVID times, that's a weird turn of phrase to use. They're spreading it around. It's spreading, folks. It's the good kind of spreading. Spread information, not germs. That's going to be the new Get Your News On with Ron slogan. Spread information, not germs. And hey, I'm not a Chris Cuomo fan, still not, but I'll tip my hat to the guy for having her on. That's good that happened. So there you have it. Let me see what you guys are saying. I can see you now. I couldn't see you before because I don't know. I don't know what was going on. YouTube, it's never a dull moment, man. Sam Dean, what's up, buddy? I hope you're doing well. I hope all is well out in Australia. Right now, at the 8th National Space Council meeting, Pence announced research into thermonuclear fuel for Space Force. I'm suspicious. Seems like a backdoor for literally building nuclear rockets. Jeesh. Wow. Yeah, probably. Probably. I mean, yeah, they're always talking about space. You know, Elon Musk wants to go to space. Jeff Bezos wants to go to space. And I'm sure that, you know, if they can tie that into weapons manufacturing, all the better, baby. That's what we need. All the better. All the better. So yeah, I hear you. I hear you there. Thank you very much for that, Sam Dean. You know, super chats do keep this show on the air. I cannot do it without you all. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. And thank you for bearing with me through the chat thing. I randomly just couldn't see anything. And I'm like, well, is it happening? Is it? But then I refreshed and that was all it took. Sometimes the fix is quite simple. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's quite simple. Guys, check out today's guest, Dante, at Dante the Comic. And Golden Artist Entertainment is his management company. And again, full disclaimer, just for transparency's sake, I am part of that management company. I am a client there, and I've been very happy there. So it's really cool, and it's cool to see that there are some institutions in Hollywood that, despite all the bullshit that goes on in Hollywood, and there's a lot of it, and there's definitely been some as of recent. You know, there's some good folks in the industry too, where activism is important and it is smiled upon. There's that part of it too. And, you know, I always highlight the bullshit part of it. So I'm going to try to also highlight the good parts of it too. You know, just to give us all some hope to grab onto. Kate, what's up, Kate? How are you? And I have you to thank. I've been listening to a lot of Richard Hell because of you. So thank you for that, Kate. Great hair day, Ron. Do you mean it? I don't know. My hair is out of control now. The headphones push it down a little bit, but it is just everywhere. And I just kind of brush it the best I can. And I know right now, I think hair salons are closed again. Plus, it's not essential. My wife kind of does what she can to control my hair broccoli. Or not hair, the neck broccoli. Is that what it's called? Is it called broccoli? Is it called something else? Did I make that up? I might have made that up. It's broccoli, like the when you get like a bunch of hair on your neck. My wife maintains that for me. She kind of trims it, and she's like, "All right." Like I call it neck broccoli, but maybe I'm the one. Does anyone else call it that? Let me know if you call it neck broccoli. Did I make that up? I might have dreamt it. Some of you are saying, "Yeah." All right, cool. Well, I appreciate that. Well, yeah. So my wife maintains my neck broccoli, and then I'm just dealing with my hair the best I can. But I think I'm ready for a do soon. I will get a haircut when I do. But I'm ready for it. And you know, I do have a lovely rooftop deck where I live. You know, it's not mine; it's for the entire apartment complex. But you know, I do have a rooftop deck, and I do have a friend who is a hairstylist who cannot work at the moment. So we talked about potentially. Some of you guys are like, yeah, neck broccoli. No one says that. Well, I'm starting it. I say it now. I'm saying it now. Neck broccoli. That's the hair all up on your neck. Huh? Neck broccoli. Huh? See? Right? You feeling it? I'm on board. Anyway, we talked about maybe we could mask up and do a haircut on the rooftop. So that might happen at some point. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. I'm trying to limit my exposure very much, but yeah, maybe at some point. Not anytime soon, but you know, we'll see as time progresses. Yeah. So, but in the meantime, I just have a bunch of hair everywhere. I just got a bunch of it, and who knows? Maybe it'll be a while, and I'll just have long hair for a while. Maybe that'll happen. I don't know. There are worse things. We'll see. Anyway, thank you very much, Sam. Thank you very much, Kate. Thank you very much for your super chat contributions. Folks, the holidays are here. And you know what makes a great holiday gift? A theme song. And where can you get a theme song? Well, at my Patreon, patreon.com/Ron Placone. For a Give What You Can level, you get all kinds of exclusive content. You can download my album. You can get the patron stream once a week where I do a stream that airs out to everybody. Everybody can see that stream when it airs out live, but the replay is only available on Patreon, and I respond directly to the patrons. I also do a Zoom show for my patrons once a week where I do some new jokes that I'm working on. I play a couple songs. It's a fun gig. It's a lot of fun. I do that every week. And then I make theme songs for people. That's been a freaking blast. It's really made a community because when I make a theme song, I publish it for all the patrons. So all the patrons get to see every theme song and listen to it. So they learn about fellow patrons. They learn that some people are CBD distributors. Some people volunteer for victims of domestic violence. Some people have podcasts of their own. Some people are authors. Some people are activists. Some people are therapists. I've done theme songs for a bunch of folks. It's been a blast, and I will do one for you. Patreon or a loved one, patreon.com/Ron Placone. How much does that cost, you ask? It's a give what you can level. I don't have tiers on my Patreon. Everyone gets all the same stuff. And it's just a give what you can level. I know times are tough. If you're not on stable ground, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. But if you are on stable ground and you got a little bit to spare each month that you won't miss, patreon.com/Ron Placone. And of course, there are tons of ways you can support this show for free. If money's tight, I totally get it. It's a very rough time. But you can like these videos, share them, subscribe. Make sure you're subscribed because they unsubscribe people. So check on your subscription every now and again. Just do it. When clips are monetized, which varies, you can watch the ads all the way through on a separate browser, and that helps all the YouTubers you know and love get paid. So don't just do that for me. Do that for all the YouTubers you follow and all the YouTubers you love. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Again, thank you, Sam. Thank you, Kate, for your super chat contributions. We'll be back for a full stream. Definitely Monday, if not before. I've been kind of doing some pop-up streams here and there. We'll officially be back on Monday, but we might be back before then. But in the meantime, you know the drill. Lucy, she's on the couch right there. And Lucy, she says meow, and I say peace. Peace.